Hey, what is up guys? My name is Thomas Spark and welcome back to another video. So I saw a video that was getting some popularity, going a little bit viral, talking about how VPNs are so mass marketed and not really useful for the end user. This guy was saying a lot of things like, oh, you don't really need a VPN for public cafes because most of the websites you're using are encrypted with HTTPS. Saying stuff like, oh, a lot of the VPNs could be working with spy agencies, although he also said that he doesn't think any are, among other things. And I kind of wanted to make a video as kind of a counter argument, discussing some of the real use cases for VPN and just discussing VPN altogether, showing how it can be used and why people still use VPN. Hey guys, just a reminder to check out vpntierlist.com. It's a collection of all my ratings on the channel, and you're going to find lots of helpful information here on how to choose a VPN. Anyways, back to the video. Now make no mistake, a lot of VPNs do use too much marketing and advertising, and I've been there to critique a lot of them who do these kind of things. So I don't think that VPN is a technology. VPN companies themselves are perfect. However, you can pick the right one and you can get a lot of use out of it. So one way to use VPN is to hide your internet activity, or basically the websites that you're visiting from internet service providers, schools, governments, and etc. So anytime you have a connection to the internet, wherever it's coming from, those kind of people can see, what you're doing. With internet service providers, they can see the websites you're visiting and they can sell this data to, third-party advertisers. And this is not something a lot of people want happening. Internet service providers are kind of running rampant in a lot of sections of the world, and in a lot of cases they are directly controlled from governments, so that's not very good. Not only that, if you're at a school, a lot of times the people who are managing the network can see the websites you're visiting, and if you don't want people knowing you're looking at some sexy websites or whatever websites you're looking at, it's probably a good idea to use a VPN. Not only that, sometimes people in censored countries like China or Russia are using VPN to get around kind of a totalitarian society or government that could be spying on what they're doing and even go to jail for what websites you're looking at. So VPNs definitely still have a use case for providing anonymity in terms of protecting some of your browsing history that could be provided to whoever is controlling your internet. One of the most popular reasons people use VPN though is for protecting their internet protocol address or IP address while torrenting. Now, if you're downloading a torrent and using PDP activity, your public IP address is pretty much well known because you're part of a P2P network. What this means is you're sharing files, others are downloading the files, and in order for this kind of relationship to happen, IP addresses are shown, and that's the basic idea. So when you use a VPN, you could hide your IP address and protect your anonymity, so that way companies that are sifting through these torrent files and looking for IPs to kind of send notices in the mail to get you to pay fines to them. If you protect your IP, you're not going to get notices in the mail to pay these fines for content you download. That's the basic idea. So it wouldn't be a mistake to say that one reason a lot of people are using VPNs is to download or pirate content online. Now, I'm not recommending you do this, and there are a lot of streaming services where you can watch good content, but a lot of people do use VPNs for these kind of things, especially in countries where downloading copyright protected content is not as illegal as it is in some other countries. Another reason people can use VPNs is because certain ISPs like to restrict kind of bandwidth allocated to certain activities. If your ISP sees that you're downloading P2P content, they might slow down your speeds, or if they see you're doing a lot of gaming, they might also slow down your speeds. So when you're using a VPN and you encrypt your outgoing traffic, your internet service provider can't see exactly what you're doing, so they're not able to restrict your speeds for these specific instances. You might have to test out how effective this is for your particular ISP or your region in the world though. Another reason people use VPNs sometimes is to get closer locations to data centers. Now, using a VPN always kind of introduces a middleman and usually slows down your traffic, but depending on where you are in the world, using a VPN to connect to a different server closer to some other data center can give you better speeds. So let's say you're in Australia or another area that has very bad internet connectivity to the world, or you have a mom and pop internet service provider. If you use a VPN server physically close to where they are, you have a shared backbone per se. So you will exchange your ISP contracts of internet routing for server companies' contracts for internet routing. They're almost always universally better, but the first hop is, usually what slows everything down. So once it goes in the server farm, it goes fast. So that can actually improve your pings if that's a problem. Specifically, people in Australia have issues with World of Warcraft if they don't use a VPN, because a lot of the consumer cables are actually saturated. So maybe if you're in somewhere like Australia, you could benefit from using VPN. One of the most popular reasons people use VPNs, however, is for unblocking geo-restrictions. Now, this is becoming more and more popular with how global the internet is becoming and how streaming has worked. So basically, certain areas of the world have more streaming content than other areas. Companies like Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, Netflix, and even companies like BBC iPlayer all have specific kind of geo-restricted regions for the content libraries. So the Netflix USA version has more content than anywhere else in the world. Companies and providers like Hulu and Prime Video are locked to the US. So what people do is they use VPN to get around these geo-restrictions, and they're able to trick these websites into thinking they live in the US so that they could use these streaming services and get the content. So a lot of people, let's say if they're in Australia or Russia, they'll use a VPN, connect to it, change their IP, and make these websites think they're there, and they could watch content that is more available. They have way more TV and shows. One thing you can also do with a VPN, and I've made a couple of videos about this with the NBA and various other kind of streaming services, you can actually change your location and get better deals and get cheaper sports packages. Depending on where you are in the world, the pricing is kind of based on region. So if you change your location, sometimes you can actually get better prices and you could avoid blackouts and stuff like that. So you probably understand that if you're a sports fan, and a lot of sports fans like using VPNs to get around blackouts and other forms of content restrictions based on regions. Another reason a lot of people use VPN, although not quite as popular, is to protect your IP from DDoSing while playing video games. If you're playing some of the older video games, there's a person on my Discord server who likes playing one of the older Call of Duties. He said he's got DDoS before, and using a VPN can help him prevent getting DDoS, because a lot of these server-based games with P2P kind of networking, you could see public IPs and stuff like that, and Discord, you can lag someone out of the server by DDoSing them. It's not that hard. So using a VPN can protect against some of these attacks using shared IPs or DDoS protected IPs and stuff like that. Alright guys, this is just kind of a refresher course on VPN. What are some of the most common reasons people are using VPN? And VPNs do still have their use case. Now, are they more marketed than they should be? Are they kind of advertised in a weird way, providing you total anonymity and security? They aren't really kind of advertised like that, but VPN is just kind of like one tool that you should be using. You should be using secure passwords and password managers. You should be using a VPN, of course. You should be using a good browser, maybe something like Brave, which has, ad blocking and other kind of ways in there to prevent cookies from tracking you. And of course, you should just kind of use basic common sense when surfing the internet. Maybe even use something like Malwarebytes to protect you from Trojans and other kind of spyware like this. Not only that, kind of protecting yourself on social media and making sure you're not leaking too much information or geotagging or anything like that. There's a lot of things you could do to protect your anonymity.